Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. I'm having some technical problems out here, so I'm going to keep trying a couple more times. If not, I'm calling it a day. I don't have. Oh, here we go. All right. So, I don't know what happened earlier. It was working for a while, and then it wasn't working. Not sure what was going on with that. Why is my mic not working? Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. That is so weird. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to give this 15 more minutes, and if this thing is not working the way it needs to be working, I'm just going to have to say goodbye and try it another time. I don't understand why all of a sudden there's all these problems. There's been no changes here on my end, but who knows? Maybe this stupid program has all these stupid updates and stuff. So, who knows? Oh gosh. I did like a whole intro on the other one, and now it's gone. I have to just delete it. And I'm too lazy for that, too. Let me see here. I'm gonna have to delete this tweet I had about chatting. And it's the wrong day. I put on here Saturday, but it's actually Sunday. Yeah. Saturday, but it's actually Sunday. Yeah. Is this working? Saturday, but it's actually Sunday. Yeah. Is this working? Okay. Here we are. Here we are. So what's good, everybody? I will be checking in periodically into the chat, but I'm really just up and about doing other things in different windows. Okay, so in different windows or whatever. And I will be checking in with you, though. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in now and in the future. What's been going on with you? Things have been going pretty well with me, I have to say. I have no complaints. No complaints. Life has proven to be quite interesting the last the last couple of weeks, but really the last couple of years. Life has proven. Life has proven to be quite interesting. So let's talk about news. News. What's good in the news? Well, first of all, the LA Dodgers won last night against the Giants. 9-2. 9-2. Yes. So I was out and about last night out here in LA Metro, the greater LA metro area. And of course, there are some really, really nice places to spend a Saturday night in the greater metro LA area. Really, really nice places, I have to say. And I was hanging out with some really great company, eating some good food, drinking, and there was a whole festival happening. I didn't even know because we'd actually planned to go see some live music somewhere else. And, they had some festivities there. They had my favorite ale house that was providing the beverages. Love a good ale. And they also had one of my favorite Mexican places that was catering the food portion. Great, great tacos. Great tacos. Carne asada. Oh my God. Great, great tacos. One thing about the Southern Cali tacos is that you will be bestowed with a generous heaping of onions. That is one thing. I have never ever been to any taco place that did not give and provide a generous helping of onions and that cilantro stuff. I don't really like the cilantro. I like onions, but I never ever order onions with my tacos because they've got these super power onions. I don't know. These onions, they must come from some kind of planet. They cannot be from this terrestrial world because just a little piece is going to stay, that onion taste is going to stay in your mouth for the rest of the day. So anything else you want to try to eat or drink is going to taste like onion. And that's cool if all you're going to eat the rest of the day is things that go well with onion, or if all you're going to drink is water. But even then, like, I don't like the onion taste in my drinks. So yeah, I have to always order it without, because I've made the mistake of ordering light onions. Any kind of onion, even if you pick it out, that singe, that sting, that onion sting is still in that meat. I have done that too. I've eaten a taco where they accidentally put onion. They got the order a little wrong, so I ended up picking out the onions, which was a very tedious process. When I sat there and picked out every piece of onion, and it really didn't phase that onion. It was like the juices had already gotten into the meat, and then so I'm eating it, and I still taste that strong onion taste, and it was still in my mouth hours later. Yeah, so no onions for me on the Southern Cali tacos anywhere at all. Yeah. But anyway, we had a good time. We had a good time yesterday. It was wonderful. Yes. We saw some great people out there, and good food, good drink, and good people, and it was just amazing. Amazing. I had a great time. I'm still kind of tired though. Man, it's been a week. Okay, so my baby girl is just sitting on my papers here. You love my papers, don't you, girl? My little cutie cutie. My kleines Mädchen. Ja, Papa liebt sein Mädchen. My little cutie girl. My little cutie girl. My little cutie cutie. Du bist ja so süß, mein kleines Babychen. Mein kleines Babychen, Babychen hier. Meine Kokola. Mein kleines Kokochen, Kokochen. My Coco Babychen. Can I have my notebook? Can I have my notebook? Thank you, Coco. Alright, she decided to let me have my notebook. This little cat loves laying on papers and notebooks. And he shall lick a hole straight through your page, too. You watch her. All right, so let me look at my outline I had for you today. I wanted to talk to you about tarot cards, psychology, the Kabbalah. I'll talk to you about the LA Dodgers winning. I want to talk to you a little bit about health workouts. But also in other news, check this out. In other news, R. Kelly has been convicted. Is that not good news or what? I think it's good news. I don't know if it's something to be hopeful for. I feel like there might be a little bit of hope for the world. A little bit. Because the guy has been getting away with things for decades. I remember the first trial he had, was it 2004? I just couldn't believe. Well, it didn't surprise me. I was upset that he got away with it. There was real footage there. And I just chopped it up to, well, he's famous, he's rich, he's a celebrity. What can you do? What can you do, right? Well, I'll tell you what. He certainly had his time's up, expiration date. And that's the thing. Karma has no deadline and no expiration date. Mr. R. Kelly believed that he was going to continue to get away with things just as he'd always had. Right? Why should he stop? Why should he get help? Why should he change? Why should he not do what he wanted to do? He was telling people he's a genius. He's like Jerry Lee Lewis and Martin Luther King. He's a genius, so he should be able to do whatever he wanted to do. Lewis and Martin Luther King. Good music, according to some people. He's a genius, so he should be able to do whatever he wants to do. Lewis and Martin Luther King. Good music, according to some people. He's a genius, so he should be able to do whatever he wants to do. Lewis and Martin Luther King. Good music, according to some people. He's a genius, so he should be able to do whatever he wants to do. Lewis and Martin Luther King. But yeah, good music, according to some people. He makes music, according to some people, that's good. So therefore, since he's considered a musical genius to these people, that he should be able to abuse children. So therefore, that's what it is. I don't understand why the media is calling them young women or underage women. That's an oxymoron, sucker. What the hell's an underage woman? What the hell is that? Is she underage or is she a woman? That's an oxymoron, sucker. So, what the hell's the verbiage and the semantics that they're using are very disturbing in the media to me. So, it just underlies some kind of weird and inappropriate tolerance towards children being abused. Straight up. If that human being is underage, then that's not a woman, that's not a man. When you say woman, that already implies adult. Is that someone who can give consent? But that's not a woman. So there's no such thing as an underage woman. That already implies adult. Is that someone who can give consent? But yeah, R. Kelly is underage woman. Going down. R. Kelly is going down. Yeah, R. Kelly going down. That bitch. I'm that bitch. You know I'm that bitch.
life gets too chaotic. You want bops, then girl, you got it. I make hits like hydroponics, turn my struggles into classics. Have you seen my demographics? Maddest bitches on the planet, and my haters catch static. You got it. I make hits like hydroponics, turn my struggles into classics. Have you seen my demographics?
So yeah, they said R. Kelly was like feigning, falling to the ground and stuff when they were reading the verdict, and he was screaming at people, saying, "You all let me do this, and you helped me do this," and I guess he was threatening to snitch on somebody. I guess if they all snitched on him, he can snitch back.
You helped me do this, and I guess he was threatening to snitch
on somebody. Well, they say that his sentencing is going to be May 2022, May 4th, I believe.
Well, they say that his sentencing is going to be
and minimum, they say he has to serve a minimum of 10 years, but he's facing 10 to life. And there's 8 trafficking charges, and I think there's some legal charges there too.
life.
I think there's 11 in total, so yeah, I just don't see him getting a year for each. I don't see that judge being all that lenient.
11 in total, so
especially with some of the graphic details that they shared in the trial.
I don't see that judge being all that lenient. 11 in total, so
I know those jurors are going to have to get some
details that they shared in the trial. I don't see that judge being all that lenient.
They're going to have to get some therapy after they, are done with that trial. I know they're gonna have to. I would get some therapy because that's some traumatic stuff to have to listen and watch. That's some very, very traumatic stuff. I'm not gonna get into the details. I will just say it was disturbing hearing about it from the media. I could just only imagine having to sit through that stuff and watch it as a juror. And to me, that hits home pretty big because I've got jury coming up, jury duty. Matter of fact, I had to check in yesterday. It started yesterday, my reporting to the jury duty portal and all of that. I've got jury duty this week, and I just hope I don't get called in. And I certainly hope it's not going to be anything like this where I'm going to be traumatized, where I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like this stuff stays with you're not going to be able to just leave it at the courthouse kind of stuff. And the R. Kelly trial was that kind of a trial. Certainly was. I hope they pay for some mental health counseling for these jurors because I know they had to go through some PTSD. And I wonder if some of them might have even been triggered because, child abuse is more common. It happens more often than society would like to acknowledge. So I think there might have been some jurors that could have related to some of those victims in some kind of way, right? And then on top of that, you have to watch really graphic, sadistic things being done. And R. Kelly had this fetish. He had this fetish that made him want to record all of these abuses that he was doing so he could watch them and get over on them over and over at some point in the future, to feed off of whatever sick things he was doing. So he had countless VHS tapes and, because he'd been doing it for years and years, and countless recordings that got into other people's hands somehow. I imagine it's hard to keep up if you've got like hundreds of DVDs or video recordings. It's kind of hard. It would be hard to keep up with all of that, if you've got a growing collection of things. And so anyway, whatever videos they showed in the court, they got their hands on from whomever his people around him, and they were very, very graphic, disturbing. I really don't know if I want to get into the details. I'm disturbed. Like I said, I was disturbed just hearing it through different news sources. And yeah, I just hope I don't have to go through anything like that in this upcoming thing. I doubt I'll get called in, but if I do get chosen to serve on some kind of thing, then I mean, so be it. I've bought some clothes, so I'm ready to go to the court. I'm ready to do this, you know. But yeah, jury duty. That's what's going on this coming week. But luckily, I only have 3 more days to worry about as far as like calling in. Here you have to like call in 6 in the morning between like 6 a.m. And 7 p.m. the day before. Like every day, you have to call in and check in, or you have to go online into your jury portal and look for the instructions because they change daily. They could change on you. So every morning and every night you have to go in there and make sure. And if you miss checking in, it starts all over. It's like it's like you didn't report at all. So you have to. Yeah, it's. I'm just wanting it out of my hair already. But back to the news stuff here with R. Kelly being convicted. I figured it was to me it felt like a type of victory, a type of hope, because this is a man that has been getting away with hurting children and women, and more specifically African American women, targeting African American women and just abusing them in the worst ways, forcing them to drink and eat bodily excretions and fluids in the most degrading and humiliating sexual ways. The guy is just, I hate to say this about anybody, honestly, and I hope I'm wrong. I really, really do hope I'm wrong. But after this trial, I can't help but wonder, is it just me, or I can't help but wonder, could R. Kelly be guilty of more than just sexual abuses here of children? Because the things that they said he was making these people do, the children, the young girls, the underage girls, and also the women that he had around him, because he did have women, he had relationships with adult women. They were technically adult. He was like a zillion years older than them, and they were barely 18, 19, 20, okay? But the way he was doing things, making them do things, and being sadistic and torturing them and locking them up, chaining them, and they had to have permission to use the bathroom. They couldn't eat without his permission, and they were locked into rooms and in trailers and studios for weeks on end. Their cell phones were confiscated. They had to ask permission to use their cell phones, and then they had to they couldn't just call anybody they wanted on their own phone. They had to ask permission to call their family. It makes me wonder if R. Kelly wasn't doing a bit more than just trafficking and running a sex cult and all of this stuff. Because maybe I've watched too many true crime shows, but there's these patterns that you see when you watch a lot of true crime stuff, especially about predators. And this is one thing I do, is I educate myself about predators and the scary side of humanity, because I think it's important to be able to know the signs and the patterns so you can do things to eliminate a lot of dangerous potential, and basically for me it's weeding out certain types of people. Unfortunately, that's life. There are people that are predators and they don't wear signs. They don't tell you, hey, I'm a predator, stay away from me. a lot of times they might appear and give you all the wrong impressions as far as like being able to protect yourself. This thing says that, let me check. Let me check if I'm still online. Because this thing just told me that I'm no longer online. So let me go ahead and double check. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, I'm still online. Whew. Almost clicked off all that talking and work for nothing. Clicked off. All right. But as I was saying, I like to watch and educate myself on the predatorial patterns of people and predators. And I watch these true crime shows, and there's these patterns these sick people have. And a lot of times it's this thing with excrement, consuming, forcing victims to, degrading and humiliating them to the point where they're making them consume bodily fluids and excrement. And controlling them. Financial control. That is a big, big classic that predators of all sorts go and use, is financial control. And I'm not just talking about sexual predators. I'm also talking about other types of predators. Financial control is a big one. It's a big one. Emotional and mental manipulation, emotional control. Lots of women are guilty of that. Female predators, because they're not physically as strong as the males. A lot of times they're not as big and as strong. Whereas a male, he might rely on his physical strength. And he uses physical abuse and sexual abuse, right? Well, the women predators, they might not be able to overcome a male physically like that. So they more rely a lot of times on the emotional control, emotional manipulation. Because a lot of times you don't see it. And you might not even know what's going on if you're not privy to predators and their patterns and just human tendencies in general. And this is not to say that human tendencies are predatorial, but we all have a light and a dark side. We have varying degrees of kindness and health. Okay, I'll put it to you like that. We have varying degrees of mental and emotional and spiritual health. Some of us have less than others. So you do want to be aware of these things. And from my having done my part to try to be aware by watching a lot of police interrogation videos, a lot of true crime videos and shows, I've noticed there's these patterns. And when you have sexual predators that use physical restraint and physical abuse and cult-like brainwashing, usually murder is somewhere in there in that equation. I'm just going to put it to you out there like that. Murder is somewhere out there in the equation. And this is just my opinion. Okay, and I'm not saying that I think R. Kelly is a murderer, but I'm also not saying that I don't think he is. That's the whole point, is that I'm opening the door to this idea that if he was doing all this for so long, what was keeping him from escalating? Because he had already gotten away with it before. And when these predators get away with things like that, they don't go to jail, they feel emboldened. And a lot of times they even start getting more delusional. They feel like they are special and they will never be caught, and they can really step up the game now. You see, they feel like they've been given permission by society. You all let me do this. That's what he said to the people in the court when he was convicted. When he was found guilty on all counts, he was allegedly he was telling people, "You all helped me do this." So, I do wonder if R. Kelly, if he might be guilty of a little more than just what we know or think that he might be guilty of. Just a thought. It's just a thought. I hope I'm wrong. Because if I'm right, that would mean somebody's dead that lost their life, and that's not something I would want or wish for. So I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, you tell me, what do you think about that? What do you think about it? You think he could be capable of it? Do you think, some people might not even believe that he's guilty, even after the videos. They have real video footage with his face clear as day in the videos, the victims. It's just, you can't get around the hard, concrete facts. You can't escape it. So yeah, he's got another 2 trials coming up. So he's going to be in the Brooklyn penitentiary, in the prison there, for at least a decade. And while he's sitting there, while he's awaiting his sentencing, he's still got the other 2 federal trials in Minnesota and in Chi-Town, his hometown, Chicago. And I'm glad Aaliyah got some justice too in this trial. They brought that back to the forefront. He married Aaliyah when she was 14 or 15. She was a child. And he married her because she was pregnant. He had gotten her pregnant. He had already been messing with her and abusing her as early as 12 years old. And, he married her so that he wouldn't go to jail. She wouldn't be able to testify against him if the cops got involved for him impregnating her. He paid off people to fake her ID so that she would have an ID that said she was 18 so that they would marry her. The judge or the clerk, law clerk or the court clerk or whatever would issue them a marriage certificate. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Very, very. This is what people look the other way when it comes to money and fame. The same thing with Michael Jackson. I know a lot of people don't think Michael Jackson was guilty. Michael Jackson had an inappropriate affinity for young white and Hispanic boys between the ages of maybe 8 and 12. There was always a specific type of child. I mean, if he was so much save the children and for the children, why did he have a specific type all the time that he wanted to spend all of his intimate close time with? And a 40-something-year-old man sleeping in the bed with an 8-year-old boy, holding hands in interviews, it's definitely not appropriate. But these were celebrities. The parents sold their kids out. That's basically what happened. They sell their children out for vacations and homes and an opportunity for their kid to become a celebrity of sorts. Basically, to me, it's like a form of pimping. It is. And in another recent news, you had LaToya Jackson. She's coming back out again, saying again that Joe Jackson abused her and her siblings. Sexually abused her and her sister. But now that Joe Jackson is dead, I guess she feels like she can come back out and tell the world again. It's not anything she didn't say before, and then she backtracked and claimed no, it's not true. And so who knows with her? I do believe that they were abused. Michael hated his father. He did not like his father. He made that known. He couldn't stand being around him. So I do believe there was some bad stuff going on with those kids. And Catherine, the mother, Michael's mother, knew what was going on. Latoya said she would tell, she was right there in the room when a lot of stuff was going on. So it wasn't like she didn't have a clue. And she was a Jehovah's Witness, but that's what these Jehovah's Witnesses do. When they see child abuse of the worst kind, it's time to look away. Wait on Jehovah to fix it. You know? That's their cookie cutter answer to everything. Just wait on Jehovah to fix it. Meanwhile, just continue to sleep well at night while you watch your children get molested and beaten and abused. Yeah. I'll tell you, these particular types of people are just as sick as the predators. These so-called mothers, that Catherine Jackson, she needs to be in jail. She needs to be in prison. Because she has let her children get hurt and abused in the worst kind. And I do believe there's a special kind of hell for those kind of people. Because I expect more of women, period, when it comes to things like this. Okay, now it might be a double standard, but it's just the way I see things. I expect more of women. And not to mention a mother. You carried this human being in your stomach, inside of your body for 9 months, and you let some man, some other person hurt and abuse your own flesh and blood? And what's even worse is that a lot of these women, these so-called mothers, they feed off of that. It's sick. That's why I tell you, they're just as sick as the predators directly. Because they feed off of that too. They get off on that too, on that power trip. They feel it's a power trip, you see. And these types of people, you wouldn't be able to tell them on the street. Matter of fact, they go out, a lot of them go out of their way to make themselves appear as the most kind and generous person you ever met. Soft spoken. If somebody told you about them, you would never ever believe it. You'd be like, there is no way, not my friend, no way. She's the most kind and generous person. She was there for my daughter's baby shower, and she did this. There's no way she would ever do any of that, you see? And those kind of predators, they're fucking scary. Excuse my French. They are scarier than any of these Halloween decorations that you're going to see around here in October. They're scarier than any of the horror movies that Netflix is going to release in the movie theaters this Halloween season. You know, Jason and Freddy Krueger's got nothing on these predators. Because at least with Freddy Krueger, you can tell that's a monster. You can tell that's a dangerous, scary thing right there. A person, a thing, whatever, right? With Jason, you can tell that's a scary thing coming at me right here. If you see this Jason thing in front of you, you're going to know to run or get away. But a lot of these female predators, especially these so-called quote-unquote mothers, and I don't really want to give them that title because mother implies nurturing and protection, and that's not what these women do. They just give birth. Anybody can produce children. Anybody can have sex and produce children, and impregnate and give birth. The mothering comes for the next 18 to 20, 22 years. That's not easy to do, to take care and raise that child and nurture and love that child and protect that child. That is the hard part there. So that's the mother part there. But, you know, if that has not been the case, they don't get that title mother. They might get that title incubator or birther, someone who birthed, or sperm donor if it's a paternal person that is responsible for someone's birth. But these types of predators, they're hard to spot because, like I said, they'll go out of their way to give you the opposite impression. They're not going to be in your face telling you, "Hey, I'm a dangerous person. I'm going to screw you up. That's my intention. I want to control and dominate you. I need to push you down so I can feel like half of a person. So I'm going to do whatever I can." They're not going to tell you any of that. They're going to get you, try to keep you off guard and rope you in some kind of way. If it's emotional dependence, a lot of people are codependent on the emotional levels. They might be just fine financially, they might be just fine physically, but emotionally, they are hooked because somebody's got your trigger points and they know what your weaknesses are. And to a point, we all have those weaknesses. We all need to feel like we belong. We all need to feel loved and accepted. We all have these particular needs. It's like food and water. These are innate needs that we have. So people can be susceptible to different forms of abuse and manipulation and abuse of power and boundary violations and things like that, right? So, yeah. These also exist in not just the maternal aspect, but they can also exist in the spousal aspect. I don't know if you've heard of the Jodi Arias case, but now that is a very scary one because she is very attractive. She can put on the charm, but she is a cold blooded killer. And you would not be able to spot her. You would never think of her as being capable of that. When you look at her and you see her, the way she acts and interacts with you, you just it's I know if she was out here in LA at just the average bar, she would probably get at least 5 or 6 phone numbers before the night is over and the same amount of drinks bought for her without even having to ask. These types of women, they go out to the bar, they're automatically not going to have to worry about alcohol because they're always going to have somebody buying them a drink. And she has that. She looks very attractive, but as attractive as she is, as evil and cold blooded and scary. And that's a scary one right there. You print her picture out and you put her next to these ghost looking skeleton decorations that people have, yeah, then I'm going to be scared. I'm going to really, really be freaked out and spooked out for real. But, these things that people are afraid of, that these monsters and little demon things that they make up in their minds, those aren't really the scary ones. It's the people that's really the scary ones. And that need to be taken responsibility. Every time somebody like Jodi Arias gets called out, gets busted, they want to play the victim. They want to act like, I'm insane. They want to use the insanity defense. They want to play the victim, or like they can't remember. That's another one they'll do. I just can't remember. I just can't remember. All of a sudden you have amnesia and you just woke up and this happened and you weren't yourself and you were not here. Yeah, sure. Of course you can't remember. You don't want to remember. But yeah, so let me check into the live channel and see if there's anybody in the chat. I was asked to do a live stream by a couple of people, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do one. Um, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do one this this weekend. I'll just do a short one. I'm not going to do a whole 3 hours worth of stuff. Excuse me. I'm still really tired. Ooh, it's been a week. I'm telling you. I need some more days off. So yeah. Something else I've been working on. Hey, hey, what you got going on, little girl? Hmm? You okay? You doing okay? Something else I've been working on is my health workouts, hitting the gyms. I've been pool hopping, so I haven't been going to the Olympic pool as much. And I've been pool hopping. I've been hitting. I've got this pass. It's this pass, so you can hit all the major gyms with this pass out here in the LA metro area. So I've been really enjoying that. But you know, I love to go to gyms and work out different gyms. I've been to all kinds of gyms, military based gyms, Gold's Gym, World's Gym, Speakeasy, LA Fitness, 24-hour fitness, a bunch of like smaller types of gyms that don't have, they're not chains of any sorts. So yeah, I'm enjoying that. And they have this one gym has these really cool machines. I've never been on these kinds of machines. They're called Hoist. That's the brand, Hoist. So whatever movement you usually make on the regular weight machines, this one will move your whole body right along with it. So for example, the leg extension machine. If you know anything about gyms, you know what the leg extension is. Where you sit and then you extend your leg forward while there's some weights, and that that develops your quadriceps, your thighs, the outer thighs, and things like that. And your hamstrings to a point, not really all that much, but most of your quads, your inner and outer quads, your thighs. In any case, usually that's the only thing that's moving is the bottom part of your leg that's extending. But with these hoist machines, that is moving, and also your whole body is shifted backwards in the seat that you're in, if that makes sense. So it took a little getting used to because I had never got on a machine like that, but I actually like it more now because it's ergonomic. It feels more natural to have your whole body move. So that was a good one there that I got to experience, and I like going to the gym with those machines. That particular gym is like a club. It has a DJ, and the crowd is a lot younger. The crowd's a lot younger. It's a lot more machines, a lot more free weights too. And it still has the cardio machines, but the way that they're stacked against the wall is a lot more, to me, it seems a lot more efficient. I like it. The machines at LA Fitness, they're kind of painful. I like to go on the elliptical machines a lot, or Stairmasters, and the ones at LA Fitness, they kind of hurt. They're kind of uncomfortable. I mean, for an hour or two, it's tolerable, but they're definitely not the most comfortable for me because I like to get on there and sometimes just do long distances. You know, I'll be on an elliptical machine for an hour, a whole hour straight, and I'll do intervals of high intensity for maybe a minute or two, and then I'll do like 20 minutes of moderate intensity or low intensity, depending. And this works for me. I'll have my cell phone there and have my YouTube playlist ready to watch my videos, and I'll watch all kinds of different things. Sometimes I'll watch music videos, at other times I'll just watch how-to videos or educational stuff. I'll watch crime shows, whatever, right? And it makes the time pass by for the whole hour is done and over with. Hold on a minute here. Hold on. You can't come over here right now, okay? Oh, gosh, let me find Mitchie. Come here. Oh, my goodness, baby here. My goodness, Mitchie. Come on over here, Coconut. Come on, baby Shin. Coco wants to be right in my line of sight. She wants to be right here on the desk with my arms around her. That's usually how she does it. I'll be on the computer and she'll be right between my left hand and right hand. And that's her favorite spot. But right now I don't know, I don't want her to accidentally touch something or step on something and then turn off the live stream. Because she's known to do that. She'll step on a key or something and change the settings on my computer, and then I won't know how to undo it. Well, she's an adorable little girl. She gets anything she wants. I know what she wants. I know what you want, Coconut. Yes, I know, but we gotta chill on those treats, girl. We gotta chill on those treats, Coco baby. Mwah. So what was I talking to you about? Let me see. Can I get my notebook? Can I get my notebook, Coco baby Sheen? Come on, can I get my notebook? She's back sitting on my notebook. Secretary. This is my secretary. She's my assistant. Okay. Oh, Coconut. Oh, you silly girl. Coco's so silly. You're so silly. Okay. Got it now. So yeah, I was telling you about my health workouts. In bodybuilding news, I'm not a bodybuilder. I just kind of keep up with it here and there as much as possible. But in the bodybuilding industry, a lot of sadness has been going on. A lot of people recently, in the last couple of months, have just been dropping like flies. Young, 30s, 31, 32-year-old bodybuilding competitors, men and women, just dropping like flies. And you know why they're dying, right? It's not COVID. It's juicing, the gear. The steroid use. In the sport itself, it just, when you're competing against people that use steroids and you're trying to be natural, it's very hard, almost impossible. I know there's a lot of people that's going to say, oh no, you're wrong, and okay, whatever. I'm sure you might be that exception then. But in general, it makes sense. If you're using steroids, to give you a competitive edge, that person who isn't is going to have some extra challenges, some hurdles. And if they don't have the genetics, they're never ever going to get to that level that you are with steroid use. And if you have genetics, that's another thing. If you already have really, really great genetics to begin with, and the person's using steroids, it's a done deal. Given that you're doing the dieting and the lifting 5 and 6 days a week. That's another thing too. With the steroids, people who don't know about bodybuilding and are educated on steroids doesn't mean that they're using them or have used them, but they're educated on what steroids are and how they work and all of the risks involved. They know you're not going to just take some steroids and get muscles. Not going to happen. You will still have to bust your ass in the gym. Day in, day out. You will still have to diet. You're going to eat a lot of food, but you can't just eat any kind of food. It has to be certain kinds of food, which is not the tastiest a lot of times, because you're going to have to let go of eating for taste and pleasure. Yeah, you're going to have to let go of that, at least for the duration of preparation for competition. But you will not be getting muscles from just juicing up steroids. Not going to happen. Now, if it was that easy, anybody could go out here and just get some steroids, lay on the couch, order a pizza, and call it a day. Not going to happen, buddy. You will still have to work out like a dog. You hear me? So, yeah, bodybuilding, I never liked the industry, when I learned about the real deal of it and what you have to go through and how you're treated as a bodybuilding professional. It is just, for all that hard work, there should be some changes in the industry. Number one, stop. When bodybuilding in the 60s and 70s, I think it was at its prime, because that's when you saw the natural state of a muscular, well worked out body. And then when it was the 80s, when it started being the 70s and 80s and people were taking steroids, the bodies just became freakish and grotesque, especially the women. I'm sorry, but I believe in equal opportunity and equal opportunities in sports and industries of all sorts in business. But there is a difference in the physical male and female for when you're talking about the body composition. Female and women have a lot more fat distribution. And it is part of what makes a female and a woman. It's those soft curves, those central curves in roundness like curves. And in men, there tends to be less fat distribution because they're not giving birth. Their bodies aren't made to produce babies. So the man is going to have a lot more angular shapes, especially in the face, the jawline. And, that is kind of like a classic natural trigger of masculine maleness, masculinity. You know what I mean? So in bodybuilding, when you have women that are taking steroids and their voices are deep like men's and their faces are angular like a man, it is. I don't think women should have to go that far to compete. You see, because I know that there are some people that are transgender underneath that, that are kind of like hidden in that profession, and it's something that they enjoy when they have these masculinizations of their face and facial hair and their voice is deeper, right? It's something that they embrace for various reasons. But the average regular woman that's not trans should not have to put herself through that in order to compete in the bodybuilding sport. But she has to, because she's going up against those that are doing that. You see, she's competing against those that are. So what is she to do? Right? Because the natural tendency of the female body is more fat, more body fat distribution. So to make that, I just think it looks grotesque. I mean, I have an insane amount of respect for the women because I know they had to work an insane amount of hours to get their bodies to look like that. And they had to diet too, and swallow a ton of diuretics. And that right there is not easy, to say the least. That takes a lot of psychological strength. I mean, you have no idea. To look like that, the dieting you have to do. And this isn't just regular, get healthier dieting. Like, you really have to starve. Like, you can't even drink water. That kind of consumption restriction. And that's why a lot of them are dying too. Their kidneys are failing because they're having to diet and get rid of as much water as possible in their body so they can look all muscular and cut, where you can see the striations of the muscles and all that. It's not the natural everyday state of a human body to be in. But this sport has gotten way out of hand. It has gotten very, very unhealthy. And to me, it's gotten freakish. Even some of the men with the steroids, the muscles are just freakish. It's unnatural. Speaking of freakish, I don't know why these people out here especially, they love this plastic surgery stuff. And the minute they get their hands on plastic surgery, they always want to turn their lips into these ugly, blistered, horrible looking duck-like lips. You know what I'm talking about? The guy called the world's Ken doll, or Mr. Ken doll, he's had like a zillion plastic surgeries to look like Ken, the Ken doll. And he looks nothing like Ken. He looks nothing like a Ken doll. His lips are just horrible. They remind me of those baboon butts. You know those baboons with the red butts on National Geographic? You know what I'm talking about? That's how his lips look. That's how a lot of these people who spend hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars on a gazillion plastic surgeries, and they all always want to go for that blistered, busted up, swollen lip look. I don't know what it is. They think they look good. They spend tons of cash to get those kind of lips, and it's like, it looks like you were in a fight and somebody just popped you in your mouth. Or your lips look kind of like a duck, or like, some animal out of the Wild Kingdom. It looks cartoonish. I just can't. And I get very upset when a celebrity that I like starts getting plastic surgery and they start looking like a lizard. You know that lizard look they start having? It is just so annoying. I just can't do it. Like, when that happens, I have to let that person go. I'm no longer a fan. Because it's not you. I don't know who you are anymore. But you're some kind of lizard person. Something. I don't know what you are anymore. I just can't. I used to like Iggy. When she started getting her Botox lips and facial surgeries. I just like this is not the same Iggy. So I still kind of like Iggy, but it's not. I just can't really relate the same way. I just can't. So yeah, let me see. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to just. Oh, I had a late night last night for sure. I'll stay on a little while longer. Yeah, I've been doing tarot cards, having a good time with them. Yeah. You like tarot cards? You want to do some tarot card reading, Coco? Which deck should I pull out? I got a lot of cool new decks. I've been working with three major new ones. Powerful decks. Love some tarot cards. Powerful stuff. I've been working with tarot cards on and off since oh, over 24 years, I believe. In the beginning, I was about 21 when I started, or 20. When I started with tarot cards. Yeah. And I was still going to the Jehovah Witness Kingdom Hall. You know, I still had to go to the Kingdom Hall. So I had a lot of that paranoid Abrahamic religious programming going on, but I also just wanted to explore in the paranormal, the occult, the unknown, parapsychology, psychic realms. I'd always been drawn to that. I can remember when I first moved to America and I got my hands on some English books and I was trying to learn English. I knew a few words, but I really needed to learn English because now I'm in this country. And I remember checking out a lot of books. They had these books called The 13 Ghosts of Jeffrey. And it was all these stories about hauntings and ghosts and things. And I had all these other types of books on psychics and whatever. It was very, very intriguing, and life after death and the paranormal. Very intriguing stuff. UFOs. I still like to read about all of that stuff. 99% of it I do believe is junk. It's made up stuff, or maybe people's insanity, or whatever the case is. 99% of it I do think is charlatans and just not accurate. But there's a tiny 1% I do think there's something to it, for sure. But I'm skeptical about most of it, for sure, you know. Because it's just when you're dealing with that side of life and reality, it's open season for a lot of these scammers and tricksters and deceivers to come in there and try to fool around and do whatever they feel like they need to do. Cult people, you know, there's all kinds of UFO cults and cults that will have you scared of superstitious things, you know. So, yet you do have to have a skeptical mind about it. But that's something that I've always loved. And I've learned a lot over the years, researched a lot, experimented a lot, practiced a lot. document it a lot. I keep a lot of journals and documentation of experiences and projects. So I have a good handle on what works, at least what works for me, and what doesn't. And that's a good place to be. You have a variety of resources. You know, you don't have just that one tool to solve every problem in life with. Because to the man with a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. I'm quoting a Warren Buffett of that. I think it's Warren Buffett. Was it Warren Buffett or the other dude? The two guys out of Omaha. But that's the case. You want to have more legs to stand on. You want to have a variety of tools that you can be flexible and adaptable with in life. And tarot cards is definitely one of them. One of the reasons I love tarot cards so much also is because a picture is worth 1,000 words. And you know you can get the gist of an idea in what? 5 seconds, less than 7 seconds from a picture, right? Whereas verbally, it might take you several minutes to get the gist because you have to listen to it or you have to read about it. But now, a picture, a symbol, boom. Like if you imagine the heart symbol in your mind's eye right now, you know the gist of what that means. So if somebody communicated that heart symbol, like online and social media, there are these little buttons that you can click that will put a little smiley face holding a heart underneath the comment that somebody posted. Well, that's all you've communicated is that smiley with the hugging a heart. So that person understands immediately just by a couple of seconds of a glance what you're communicating. And tarot cards are like that. They communicate very, very powerful, universal ideas and communication within seconds. That's one exciting thing I like about the tarot cards is that you're learning wisdom that doesn't require you to have to read it. It is a visual communication. And reading, I still love my reading now, don't get me wrong. I will still read about things, but a lot of times when you're studying or when you're training for things, for work, certifications or recertifications, a lot of times you can take those symbols, those universal symbols, and kind of lock in and seal in a body of information that you're learning. And it helps lock it into your mind a little bit better because you're using visual mode of learning as well as verbal and textual. So, but also the tarot cards just they are linked to the Kabbalistic tree. You know, I've talked about that a lot, quite a bit. Kabbalistic tree of life, the 32 paths of wisdom, the 22 major arcana, and you have those 10 main aspects of the divine. And then from there, all of the other lower ranked hierarchy of angels and lesser spirits come forth from those 10 aspects. And ultimately, the whole physical universe that we are able to perceive derives from all of that. And I think it's a really great system of philosophy. I'm just really amazed and awestruck, even though I've been involved with it for over a decade. It is still as exciting as it was the first time I had my realizations about it. But I have to admit, the very first time I got into the Kabbalah and started learning about the Kabbalistic tree of life and seeing and learning about the tarot cards with that in mind, because my first foray into the tarot cards in my early 20s, like 19 and 20, I had no idea about how they fit in with practical Kabbalah and any of that. I wish I had known that back then. I think it would have really, really enabled me to advance my life a lot better and faster. But it is what it is. But that this second go round, when I started really getting glimpses of what this all means, because at the beginning I was like, what is this stuff? This corresponds to that, and I was like, what is this craziness? This is crazy. What are they talking about? And I really didn't understand symbolic communication and visual. I mean, I was into art, so I understood how important visual aspect and communication is in expression. But I didn't connect all the dots. I had not connected all the dots yet, you know. So that realization came about 2 or 3 years in. So the first couple of years, I really was clueless. I would read and study the information, and it just wouldn't register. It wouldn't click. I would just be like, what in the heck is all this craziness? I really had no clue, but I continued to work with them. The tarot cards, I never did study. I never studied tarot cards. Like, you know, where you're sitting and you're like studying a book, and this tarot card means that, and this tarot card means this. I mean, like at the beginning, like when I was 19 or 20, I remember I got this tarot card deck and this tarot card book. And after the Jehovah Witness church meeting, the Kingdom Hall meetings, I would come home and I would go into my room. And after everyone went to bed, and I would pull out my tarot card deck and read the tarot card book. And, you know, at the time, this was like my very first beginning with this, so I had no idea. So I thought each definition was written in stone, and this is what this card means. It means that. So I had to kind of understand that a lot of that was subjective, and you have certain patterns or perimeters to work within, but there's also a lot of different variables that change up as you're working with different readings, right? So I had a natural knack for it though, because I actually ended up working for the Miss Cleo psychic line. Oh man, that's a story for another day, but just to be really brief about it, I worked for that psychic line a couple of years later. Ended up working for that psychic line for a very short period of time, and I did not know it was Miss Cleo until I was my first day. I was hired, and the orientation guy told me people might be calling in asking for Miss Cleo. Just tell them that she's on a call right now and that you'll help them. And I said, okay. And I still didn't put two and two together until uh, I think when I saw the commercial again. You know, call me now, Miss Cleo. And I was just like, oh shit, that's the company I'm working for. That's the one I'm answering the calls for. So I knew that Miss Cleo line was not what they were making it out to be, because I was never tested. They never verified that I knew anything about tarot cards or divination or anything. It was just literally to have somebody to answer the phone and say whatever it is you say to keep them on there. That was literally it. But me being young, you know, I didn't really know. I wasn't sure what was what, right? But I think I worked at line for a couple of weeks, and I started getting feedback from people on the other end, getting a little bit freaked out, saying, how did you know this? How did you know that? Because I got to the point where I didn't know what to say to keep that person on. So I would just pull stuff out of thin air. I mean, I would have the cards laid out, but I wasn't sure if I believed it in the cards. I wasn't sure if it was angels or demons or if it was fake. I was still kind of in that Jehovah's Witness mode where all of that stuff is supposed to be evil, but I wanted to learn about it. So I was like torn a lot, almost every moment of it. So I just resorted to just making up stuff. I mean, what is the worst this person going to do? Tell me you're wrong and hang up, next, right? So a lot of that stuff was apparently hitting home with people. And that's when I quit. I learned that I just knew this is something that I shouldn't be playing with. And it shouldn't be exploited with money like that. I didn't want to be part of that. So I said to myself, I'd rather work a different job than do this, make the money like this. That was just not something I wanted to do. So I quit that. But that was a learning lesson, because I learned that anytime that you spend with tarot cards, you will improve in your skills and abilities in all areas as far as tarot cards is concerned. That's the cool thing about it, is that you just get a deck, and if you don't know anything about it, that's fine. Just get a deck of tarot cards and start playing around with them, looking at them, asking yourself, well, what does this mean? Or what vibes am I getting? What feelings or what thoughts come up when I look at this particular symbol? And, read up on the different definitions. Different sites have different definitions, but there's always that common thread. You'll see that common thread in all of the different articles that write about the meanings of certain tarot cards. You're going to see a commonality there, you see. And that's the big picture, because that really doesn't change. So they're really a great thing, really a great treasure, a great resource. And if you're somebody who really likes to get into the history and other kinds of historical facts and correspondences, I like to collect correspondences, I'm a big guy on making connections and spotting patterns. That's a big thing to me. And that whole Kabbalistic tree system with those tarot cards as the 32 pathways, the 22 pathways between those 10 aspects, those 10 Sephiroth of the Kabbalistic tree. That whole system right there is just so versatile and universal. There are so many ways that you can use that and work that, and yeah, just amazing stuff. I could go on and on about the Kabbalistic tree of life and tarot cards. All right, let me see. Oh, I wanted to, in relation to the tarot cards, psychology was a big thing. It's always been a big thing to me too. The mind, how the mind works, how people work, the emotions, the mentals, the spirituals, mind-body connection. That's always been something I've been fascinated with. And a lot of psychology counseling paths incorporate oracle cards and tarot cards with their counseling. And I think this is a really great idea. If you're somebody who doesn't believe in the tarot cards, you could just use oracle cards, or you could just use the the Hindu tattvas. They're just basically geometric shapes: circle, square, triangle. But the whole point is to tap into that portion of your mind that is beyond the rational, beyond the limits of the physical, in whatever it is that you're doing. Like, for example, in this case, it would be mental health, developing and working on mental health, something that everyone should be doing, in my opinion, no matter how mentally healthy you are. It's like going to the gym and physical health. This is an everyday thing, it's a maintenance thing. You're not going to just be healthy and then, okay, there's nothing else left to do and you're done. This is an ongoing thing. Every day you need exercise, you need water, you need healthy food. It's an everyday thing. So mental health should be a regular thing like that too. Working on your mental health, maintaining it, cultivating, developing it further. So tarot cards and response to that are a great way. Tarot cards or oracle cards, anything that has meaning to you. Some people make their own cards too. Some people have their own oracle cards where they have drawn symbols and images that are meaningful, personally meaningful to them. But a couple of these paths that work really great with tarot cards in my experience, and that I have compared notes with others, is the family systems therapy, DBT, or dialectical behavior therapy, CBT, or cognitive behavior therapy. These are the three that really work well with tarot card use. And it can be just as simple as, let's say you have a session with your facilitator. The night before, you can shuffle your deck and take a few moments to focus your mind. And what you're looking for is the right card to help you further improve your mental health, or to work on whatever it is that you're looking to work out with your facilitator's session the next day. And also, you could have the goal in mind to choose the right card for that occasion, so that the benefits of the session will extend long term for many years after it's over, for example, right? So then you shuffle the deck, close your eyes if you want to, and you focus on knowing that you're going to pull the right card for you. And you can decide which hand is going to pull from the deck with, face down. You're doing a blind pull. And then always use that one hand. I use my left hand, but you might choose your right hand. But the whole point is to let your subconscious give you that answer, not your rational logic mind, but the other part of your mind. And then once you have that card, fully accept that card will be the one to give you those benefits and answers. And then you can take as little as 15-20 minutes, no phone, no television, no disturbances. Take that card, burn that image into your mind, focus on that image, and you can do a number of things. You can step into the image. You can project the image out into your future timeline, which is basically just not continuously projecting it out into the week, the month ahead, the year ahead, the decade ahead, however long you want to extend that out to. You can also project it inwards into yourself, where you absorb it, and you can project it into your past. You can project it 5 years into your past, 10 years into your past, 20 years, and you can take that image, make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can make it brighter, you can make it more intense, and you can affect timelines of the past and in the future. And these will have different effects on you psychologically, okay? What they will do is give you some extra oomph, and you're developing some extra resources where you are able to change your present and your choices and decisions to be more in line with your goals, to be more conscious and have a more control and management over your everyday experiences and reality in line with these intended goals. So that's a really great way to do it. But it can be just as simple as 15 minutes just focusing on the card. If you're not somebody that's good with creative visualizations or things like that, then just keeping your eyes on the card for 15 minutes, 15-20 minutes. That's it. Okay, before your session. It could be the night before. It could be, while you're waiting. I like to get to sessions early, like 30 minutes early. So sometimes I'll have my tarot card and I'll be doing my focusing on the tarot card right before a session. And it also works after. After your session, you can do a blind pull to boost the benefits of that session, to boost the help, the healing, whatever it is that you're looking from that session, and to help you solve whatever, if there's a problem or a situation that needed to be talked about. And then fully accept that tarot card as being the doorway to that. And then what you can do is you can do what I call a past tensing. So you are going into yourself, you're closing your eyes, and you're going to a certain point in the past. It could be in the very recent past, like in this example, you just had a mental health therapy session. Maybe it was yesterday or last week or whenever. You don't want to wait too long, right? It's good to do it immediately after or the night of that session after, before you go to bed maybe, to go back into that and to remember the points, the experience with this particular symbol in mind that you've pulled from the tarot card. And then you look for connections. Well, what is this tarot card telling me in relation to this? What could be some of the things and what thoughts are coming up? And this is where I say, keep a journal. I'm all about documenting things like this because you cannot lie with the facts that are written down. Your memory can be tricky and you can filter and delete a lot of things out. But if you've been keeping a log, if you've been keeping records here, you're going to have such a clear picture of where you are with this, and it's going to help you and boost all kinds of healing and benefits that you're looking for, that you're working so hard to develop and cultivate with your mental health facilitator. You know what I mean? You want to get somewhere. So keeping a journal, keeping a log, documenting and reviewing, going back after a certain amounts of time and reviewing and seeing there, and you're going to be so much more self-aware, and that is the key to any kind of mental health, is a certain degree of self-awareness. So yeah, excellent way to do it. And one of the things I do is if I have gone to a session on a Monday, say I went in like at 9 a.m., and that night I will do a pull on one of my decks, a blind pull, and then I'll date and time my entry, and I'll put down the card, the name of the card, and my immediate impressions and thoughts. And I usually already have immediate impressions. A lot of times my eyes will be closed, the deck is face down, I can't see the cards, and I already know what card I'm going to pull. Like the image of the card will rise up behind my eyelids, and that's the card I ended up pulling. It's just, I can't tell you how many times I've had that. And I have done it different ways. Like I have waited. I've already pulled a card and then wait to see what image would come up. But a lot of times it's like, even before I sit down to shuffle, I already see the card in my mind's eye. And like I said, I've lost count as to how many times that has happened. You know, so I'll write down the card and immediate sensations. I'll also note if it did come to mind before I pulled it. You know, if that particular phenomenon happened, I'll note that down, and then from there I'll just continue to write like whatever I think it might mean for me, whatever the answers could be, and then you can have some kind of creative visualization with it too. So you can do a ton of interesting things like the creative visualizations. You can do stuff like I said, you can go into your past and you can use the archetype and the image, the symbolic meanings and qualities to supersize the image to a certain point in your past. Like, say, for example, you're wanting to get more out of that mental health session there. So you pulled a card and you're closing your eyes, you're going back into that session, and you're sitting there with your facilitator, you're discussing whatever it is that you were discussing and talking about. You're going back into those feelings. Maybe there were some uncomfortable feelings there. Maybe it was an intense session. Maybe it was, it wasn't intense, and maybe you were okay. Maybe you were pretty comfortable. Whatever that sensations, get back into that session, back into that memory of that day, and then you can fuse the image of that tarot card. You can fuse the image of that tarot card with the image of that session, with the goal in mind and the intention of boosting the benefits, boosting the healing, boosting the problem solving, boosting whatever it is that you were looking to get out of that session. And it will make your counseling so much more potent. Your time that you're putting into it, into developing yourself, it will boost it. And like I said, it doesn't have to be all complex. It can be very simple, but you want to spend at least 15-20 minutes with the card, because that's about how long it takes for your subconscious to attach itself to that image. That's how long it takes to really have it burned into your mind, in your subconscious. And once it's in your subconscious, it's going to work its magic and its benefit for you, because there's a part of your mind that you're not conscious of that continuously works for you. It keeps your heart beating, it keeps the blood pumping through, it keeps you breathing. All of these things you don't have to worry about keeping up with every second of the day. There's a part of your mind that takes care of that for you. So there are also other parts of your mind, mental parts and psychological parts and psychic parts and spiritual parts that are similar in this respect, where once you communicate an intent or a desire for change, it will process that and it will take care of that for you on those particular levels. Doesn't mean you don't do your part, but there are other parts that are their parts to take care of. And the way you communicate that is through images, through visuals. That's how you communicate that, is through visuals and images. So, yeah. Once you do that, document your any kind of feelings you have, any kind of thoughts or visuals that came up. You might have other types of memories that are linked to whatever situation you're addressing, so that those might also come up, and you could document them. And over a certain period of time, you're going to notice certain patterns about yourself. Very important patterns too, about how you think, your thought process, what's working and what's not working. But it'll take a little time. You're not going to get it right away like a drive-through thing. It's going to take a little time, and you're going to have some dedication to yourself. Long term, I'm talking about long term stuff, not stuff that you're just going to do for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. But yeah, and cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, and dialectical behavior therapy, those are really great too. They really help untwist cognitive distortions that we all tend to have. And a couple of those indicators when you do have cognitive distortions, I'll tell you how common they are. They're as common as weeds on the ground. We all have that problem if we are homeowners, or if we're living somewhere, you have to pull those weeds out. And these cognitive distortions are like that, always and never. Anytime you have a thought that starts with, this is always this way, or he never, or she always, there is a cognitive distortion right there, always and never, because in the real world, there are exceptions to the rule. And a lot of times when you're thinking always, you have deleted the times when that wasn't true. You're filtering. There's mental filtering. And that's another thing we tend to do, is we delete and we mentally filter experiences. And then we have a distorted perception because we have the tendency to delete and filter information. Selective amnesia. Yeah. So, let me check here this right here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I had to take care of a little something. I sure did. But yeah, that's the thing with tarot cards and CBT and DBT and all that stuff. But really, you could take that system and apply it to anything. You could take that system to any project that you're working on. If it's workouts, mental health, work projects, school projects, it's pretty versatile and it works. So, let's see here. Yep. So, I think I'm about done, really. Like I said, it wasn't going to be a long one today. But listen, I'm going to come up with a live stream here soon. And in that live stream, we're going to talk a little bit more about the psychology in relation to tarot cards. I've got another friend who has a lot to say about it. And I want to get her input on it because she really has some great thoughts on things. And she has a lot of insight. And I think it would be a good thing to share that out in the world. And there might be another person that might be interested in saying a couple of things about it too. We'll see. But yeah, it's going to be a good one. What I'd like to do is dispel a lot of the superstitious ignorance surrounding tarot cards. Like so many things in life, there's a lot of disinformation, misinformation, and just plain out goofiness. And unfortunately, a lot of tarot card people are to blame partly for that, because they have all of this new age fluff crap and charlatans and scammers, and I'd like to dispel that, because tarot cards can be a very powerful resource in very serious, practical, tangible ways. They're not going to tell you your winning lottery number. They're not going to tell you, are you going to get rich and famous? Or is he the one, or is she the one? That's not how you use tarot cards. But in a mental health system, a system of mental health cultivation, and in a system of ever-increasing self-awareness, tarot cards can be a powerful tool. Very, very powerful tool. So I'm going to do a video about that sometime soon. I'm going to do that sometime soon. So I'm looking forward to doing that. It's going to have to be after this whole thing that I'm having to work. I'm already tired thinking about it, actually. I have to do this jury duty this coming week, this next week, and it's just already got me on. All right, well, that's it. That is it. Thank you for tuning in. Blaze, we never did hook up today. I wanted to see you, but I think we will hook up another time on the live stream. I hope you're doing well. Can I just wish everyone a Merry Christmas, by the way? Merry Christmas. I know it's a little early, but I don't care. It's Merry Christmas. It's Christmas, man. Forget about Halloween and Thanksgiving. Just get the Christmas tree out already. All right. I guess that'll be it for today. Thanks for tuning in now and in the future. It's been great. And I'll see you soon. Jehovah, honey. You better leave them tarot cards alone, honey. Them tarot cards are from the devil, honey. Oh, Jehovah, I don't want these tarot cards over here, honey. Why are these tarot cards everywhere, honey? They're from the devil, honey. Honey.
Fuck the ceiling, Marion talk like a she's lost her head. Falling for exteriors, as appealing as they might be, I know